What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs, bringing you a brand new video. Today's video, I'm going over some of the biggest risers so far in Dynasty, just off of some of the off-season moves, right? So first, starting with Saquon, a running back, goes to the Eagles. Eagles release or don't re-sign Boston Scott and Rashard Penny, which means it is Saquon and Kenneth Gainwell as of right now, I believe. You look at, according to, this is all keep trade cut. This isn't, what your league is going to dictate his value is worth, or you are. But keep trade cut is the market value. That's, everyone goes to it. It's the easiest thing to kind of keep track and compare when going over trades and stuff. So, 27 years old Saquon gets signed by Philly on a 3-year deal, right? You see someone like Derrick Henry get a deal at the age of 30 to a really good contending team. His value kind of goes up as well, but Saquon at 27, goes up, right? This is before the signing. Still, everyone, assuming Saquon could go to the Texans. Saquon can go. Philly started to get traction towards the end. Chicago, like there were options for Saquon, but his value was pretty consistent for where it was going to be. As soon as he goes to Philly, right, it goes up quite a bit, right? A top 10 dynasty running back still, and we go and look at his numbers last year, right? Finishes as running back 13, misses 3 games. You look at the last 3 years for Saquon, he's only missed 6 games, which isn't ridiculous, isn't ridiculous for a running back like Saquon, who people were worried when he got that major injury, kind of got hurt again. But yeah, I think for the games he's played, right, in the last couple of years, Saquon is definitely worth what you're going to pay for him if you're a contending team and want that star running back. If you have Saquon and your team is not fully there yet, like, Saquon's a good sell piece. This is probably the most you're going to get for him now because, like I said, it's just Kenneth Gainwell and Saquon, to my knowledge, for running backs. They could have a practice squad running back as well, but they might add another running back, right? This is Philly. This is where we saw, Miles Sanders have backups, DeAndre Swift in that team last year as well. So they've supported their running back room, and they've just not tried to rely on one person. It ends up being that the last 2 years, but they try not to, right? They make sure they have depth. So Kenneth Gainwell, Saquon, I imagine someone's going to go in. You're just hoping it's not a decent rookie, right? Or another name. Obviously, Saquon, for what they're paying him, he's going to be the running back 1. But as far as top value, this is probably the best he's going to get. If you're holding into next season, I don't know what you expect to get out of value there. Maybe you're hoping another team gets an injury or somebody gets cut, whatever. But in my opinion, this is probably the best we're going to see out of Saquon. The second player I'm going to be talking about is Josh Jacobs, who gets picked up by the Green Bay Packers. This was a shock, I think, to most of Josh Jacobs' landing spots. It didn't seem like Green Bay was going to get away from Aaron Jones. I understand why they did. Sort of an upgrade in a way. Basically a little bit younger, right? A few years younger at that. So kind of gets what Aaron Jones was at that point at the age of 26. Kind of get that comparison. But A.J. Dillon did not get re-signed. Aaron Jones traded. Yet again, another team that just has a bunch of practice squad guys. So Josh Jacobs gets a good deal. We see his value go up quite a bit, actually. I think this is another guy who, for his age, if you want to keep him, that's fine, right? But as far as where his value is going to go this offseason into the season, you might see a dip down, right? So Green Bay just has Josh Jacobs. They have injured running backs from last year, practice squad guys. They don't have a competent running back number 2 yet. So I would expect they get somebody else. They add someone else to their running back room just to help Josh Jacobs. Sorry, I don't think it should be anybody, a big name free agent. And I don't mean big name as any of the guys that are left there. But like a J.K. Dobbins, right? Cam Akers, Alexander Mattson, one of those guys to add to this running back room. Obviously, same thing as Saquon. Josh Jacobs is going to be the lead back. Kind of saw, last year was his unhealthiest year, and he still put up really good numbers. Obviously, his yards per carry were down. The offensive line just was in Vegas. Our offensive line has just been very, very bad for the most part, and I think that's just inconsistency of who they have, right? It seems like every year they put a new offensive line together. Zamir White was able to have success, but Josh Jacobs, could tell was towards the end of the year started to get fatigued, started to get hurt, right? And the injury just got bad, tried to come back, went right back out. So at the age of 26, been a top 12 Dynasty or fantasy running back, right? Obviously not Dynasty, but his value went up quite a bit, right? We saw it in 2019, right? Had a really good year. Follow that, even a better year. Kind of, falls off just a little bit as far as that, and then has a really solid year in 2022, and that's where his value skyrocketed, right? It made you competent because we didn't know who Vegas was going to keep at their running back position. Went with Josh Jacobs. Obviously, his contract goes up now, and he goes to Green Bay. So I think it's a very solid pickup. I think what you've seen out of Green Bay running backs as far as what Aaron Jones has been able to do, right? He's won a lot of fantasy owners, a lot of championships. And I believe Josh Jacobs can do the same thing. Going to be used in the passing game. He's succeeded in it too. So Josh Jacobs is a really good add for Green Bay. I think it was just a surprise as well. But yeah, as far as dynasty value, like I mentioned, this is probably that highest it's going to be all season. They're going to add another running back in the draft or through free agency, or maybe a trade, whatever that looks like, for, a late round pick. It's not going to be anybody significant, but they are going to add some help to him as well. So this is probably the highest that you're going to get out of them. They add someone who could compete good, or they add a rookie. It's going to be a little scary as far as where his value is going to be. But as of right now, I think his value is high. He's going to be a really solid running back for dynasty owners this year. All right, next I have a category of players. It's not just one player, it's multiple, and that's the Atlanta Falcons skilled position players, basically. Bijan, I don't think Bijan's value really moves one way or another. I think regardless of who the quarterback was, Bijan was going to retain his value as the RB1 going forward. But Kirk Cousins, his value goes up, right? Signing to Atlanta. You get a young, talented, haven't seen their full potential offense. And Kirk Cousins gets a new system, right? That's going to be interesting. You see his value, though, just skyrocket from where it once was. When he got injured, right? And it's almost doubled of what it is in value for Kirk. But Drake London, right? Wide receiver 11. Kirk Cousins gets added to this team, right? Drake London's value has, I think, been pretty consistent. Everyone knew what Drake London was capable of, where his ceiling kind of is. But that was with no quarterback, right? It was no proven quarterbacks. Very bad play calling to go with it. But I think with Kirk Cousins there, kind of a new coaching staff, this could be the push that people have been waiting for Drake London. You got to remember also, 22 and a half years old, Drake London. So still very young. Where he could go, could pass up some wide receivers in this ranking list, depending on the year he has. But I think this could be the best year we've seen out of Drake London. Kind of goes with like Garrett Wilson, right? Garrett Wilson, I think when Rodgers got there, people saw the potential of Garrett Wilson being wide receiver 1, not necessarily in Dynasty, but in, redrafts and best ball and stuff like that, of hitting that ceiling of being wide receiver 1. Obviously, Rodgers went down, but the potential was still there, that you could see when a better quarterback was put into that system. So Drake London, I'm going to mention Darnell Mooney just because they don't have him in here. Darnell Mooney at wide receiver 75, right? You could get for a third. Signs a 3-year, $13 million contract to Atlanta. Darnell Mooney, right? We can go and get on Darnell Mooney here. 26. We've seen Darnell Mooney, right? Believe it or not, believe how bad with how he's been not used in Chicago at all. Had a 1,000-yard season in 2021. Darnell Mooney. So he gets added, right? Kind of fits that Jordan Addison role for this team. I think Darnell Mooney's route running, he's one of the better route runners in the league. He just hasn't been thrown the ball to. They has just not been used in the way he should be used. So hopefully Atlanta can do that. That's why they went and got Darnell Mooney. We'll see what that looks like, though. We've seen other wide receivers leave teams with high potential, like Kadarius Toney, Allen Robinson, some of those names, and just not pan out. So hopefully, as a Bears fan, Darnell Mooney kind of does that. But yeah, last but not least is Kyle Pitts, right? Kyle Pitts has the opportunity to take tight end 1 in Dynasty after this season, right? So the season hasn't started, right? Brock Bowers hasn't gotten drafted. But Kyle Pitts at one point was, Dynasty tight end 1, right? Like, Kelsey is there for talent-wise, just tight end 1. Unfortunately, last year was his fall-off year. And some younger tight ends have definitely proven themselves. Laporta, McBride, Kincaid, some of those other names. But Kyle Pitts has the opportunity to take back tight end 1 after this season. He has to have a really good year for him to do that, right? It's got to be like another 1,000-yard season, not necessarily needing 1,000 yards, maybe getting touchdowns added to it, but we need to see Kyle Pitts have a really solid year to hit that spike in what a lot of people, including myself, have been holding on to, is seeing him go back to what he once was in his rookie year. And we can look at it, right? Like, rookie year, 1,000-yard receiver, 110 targets, right? Saw 90 last season, 90. But touchdowns just have not been there, right? 6 touchdowns in 3 seasons. For the most part, been healthy, right? 2 full seasons with Atlanta. I think it's going to be a really good year for Atlanta. If Kirk Cousins comes back healthy, no problems with the recovery process, this Atlanta trio of Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney can all see really high spikes. Obviously, Darnell Mooney, his is going to be different. I think Darnell Mooney is really good in best ball, right? I think this is a really solid best ball ad because you're not going to pay a lot for him. He's going to have some really... I would anticipate him to have some really good spike weeks, but can have some really down weeks as well. Because the thing you have to remember about Atlanta, right, is you have Drake London, you have Kyle Pitts, they add Darnell Mooney, but you still have Bijan and Algier as running backs, right? You know that you have a really good, solid running back room as well. So Darnell Mooney's a perfect best ball target for me if you're in dynasty best ball leagues. So I think Darnell Mooney's a solid piece to add, right? I don't think a lot of people are going to, want to hold him for the most part. Obviously, the contract makes some people just want to get rid of him just because of the downfall, right? 83-71 his last 2 seasons in Chicago. So I think Atlanta is a perfect buy for Dynasty. And the last player I'm going to talk about is Jerry Jeudy, who got traded to the Cleveland Browns. I believe this is his last year in his rookie contract, so he is going to have to be paid. And that is all on him on how he produces this year. But we are seeing a guy who you go and look at where his value when he was drafted, right? And now where he's at, it is a huge just missile down in the wrong direction. Thing is, when the season starts, he's going to be 25 years old, still young enough, has the opportunity to have a really solid year and match up with Amari Cooper, help David Njoku. Obviously, this hurts Elijah Moore, which I was invested in Elijah Moore. So this one hurts. But I think Jerry Jeudy has the opportunity to definitely go up in value, right? For where he's at in wide receiver, right? Wide receiver 56 has the opportunity to definitely go up. Especially for his keep trade cut value. Like, it's still like it's went up just a little bit, but nothing crazy, right? So he has the opportunity, if he has a good year, to definitely see a good return on investment for any Dynasty owners for him. I have Jerry Jeudy in a few leagues as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing if Jerry Jeudy can be what we thought he could be. A really great Alabama wide receiver who, for a while, that was a trend, is Alabama wide receivers just taking over, kind of being wide receiver ones for teams. Cortland Sutton gets added to Denver. Go through quarterback changes there. Russ gets there, still doesn't work out, has, problems with the team. So maybe a good restart for Jerry Jeudy in a good system can benefit him. So we'll see what that looks like there. But we look at his finishes, right? And he's only had one under or two under 50, right? But he's had one wide receiver 2 season. Has not had a wide receiver 1 season. 2 years with 100 targets. For the most part, another guy that's been fairly healthy, so health hasn't been a thing. It's been production and what he could do and being efficient in those. For where he's going, you're paying, probably a late second, early third for Jerry Jeudy. This is a guy that could definitely go up in value, right? I don't think it's going to be anything worth a first, because you still have to remember Cleveland has been a run-heavy team. They are a run-first team. They trade for Deshaun Watson for a reason. They want to be better in the pass game when they have to pass. They get Amari Cooper for dirt cheap. David Njoku emerges as a top 10 tight end in the league. They brought Elijah Moore in. Kind of didn't work out. None of the other wide receivers have really had the opportunity or have stepped up in their opportunities to be that wide receiver 2. So they go and get Jerry Jeudy for, yet again, dirt cheap. So Jerry Jeudy's a guy that I think his value goes up and only continues to go up as the offseason goes into the season, and we start to see that. Hopefully the production and efficiency is where you want it if you're a Jerry Jeudy owner. And, you could either continue to hold him because he's only 25 years old, or sell him off if you're a team that, at one point thought that he was going to be, one of the guys you put in your wide receiver slot, and kind of get off of him and go just a different direction and just get kind of your return on asset back. So that's kind of where I'm at with Jerry Jeudy as well. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. Try to have some of these more come out. Thinking about doing roster reviews, but just trying to do like a weekly Dynasty mover thing as far as guys that went up. So hope you did enjoy, and I will see you in the next one.